everybody has their own story, their own journey. You learn from it, and you give people the ability to have self esteem. And frankly, your journey matters to you. It doesn't matter what other people think.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anissa Toba, and today I have the absolute pleasure sitting down with a fabulous family law and divorce attorney, Helene Bernstein. And Helene, she has had a very interesting journey from prosecuting child abuse and neglect cases to becoming a matrimonial attorney, a mediator, and, I would say her work is not only impactful, but it's deeply personal. And I really cannot wait to dive in and learn more about Helene's journey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm very excited about being here today and having a conversation with you.
It's been a long time coming, and you're a dynamic woman, yet you have this calming but powerful energy. And great cadence when you speak, and so we talked a little bit um, about your story, just enough, but I look forward to getting to know you better. So I know that you got involved at the onset of your legal journey in some pretty intense work prosecuting child abuse and neglect cases. Going back to, let's say when you were a young teen, what led you or impacted you then to get into a career or get you on that career path like that?
Thank you for asking about that. I've always loved children, and I think I've always felt the need to protect them and enhance their lives when I could. It started so simply. I was a camp counselor. I worked in a children's library, and I always had this knack for kids feeling comfortable with me. My mom was a paraprofessional at school, and so making sure children had the best lives possible was always something that was important to me. And I had grandparents who made it to this country before World War II. They escaped the Holocaust. And they were business people, but they spent most of their personal time giving back, helping Holocaust survivors make a life for themselves in this country and in Israel. And I was very influenced by that, about the idea of giving back, charity. That's the way to not only help people to but make you feel that you were doing the best you could as a person. And that was the beginning of my journey. I always wanted to help people.
As a parent, I can't even imagine child in pain. I mean, you must have been pretty young when you got into it. I mean, what was that like? Do you remember some of your earlier cases and what that felt like dealing with this intense work?
It was clear I had no idea what I was walking into. So I grew up in the suburbs, and I wasn't faced with many of the urban problems I walked into in the late 1980s, which was a
Mm.
crack epidemic, poverty, and the corporation council, that's the city's law department, they wanted to professionalize the department, and they hired young lawyers to be prosecutors. And many times I was challenged by my adversaries, and they would say, "What do you know? You're 24 years old." And of course, the 24-year-old, they think they do know everything. So in a way, that probably helped propelled me into the difficult work and challenges of being a family court attorney. We would have close to 100 cases, and it was exciting. And I don't think I realized the gravity of some of the work I was doing because what does a 24-year-old know? But I really learned to empathize with people. I learned that everybody has a different story, and I was on their journey. It was very exciting. I had a lot of responsibility. And some of my friends and colleagues I met back in those early days. It's almost going through like a MASH unit, or family court was called the emergency room of the legal system. It was very
Wow.
challenging work, but gratifying. Uh, but for me, uh, and I just think you're sort of born with this armor where I could manage the difficult challenges that I faced, but I left it at the office. I did not take it home. And many attorneys, many very talented attorneys, they had a hard time managing the challenges of drug addiction, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, poverty. And I just wanted to get in there and help people, help families. And it was exciting because it was a different case every day, different challenges as a person, as a professional. I loved it. And it really provided the predicate for a very interesting legal career.
You persevered for sure. And that's an interesting way to describe it. You loved it, you embraced it. Um, it was a way to help families. There are many people who couldn't handle it and would shy away from it. And then you mentioned during the same epidemic, the crap epidemic in New York City, that I believe you were trying to get pregnant and became a parent. How did
Uh,
that
it's a good question.
yeah, how did that
I
impact your perspective?
Well, I worked for the city for almost 8 years, and then from there opened up my private practice, representing the people that I had been prosecuting. So now I was representing the crack addicted parent, and I was a young married person. We were trying to build a family, and we had some difficulties, and it was very challenging.
Mm.
Many of my clients had multiple children, and they were not equipped because of their drug addiction and other challenges to raise kids. So they ended up in foster care. And I was their assigned attorney trying to convince a judge to return their children to them despite all of their challenges. But in the background, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go for in vitro treatments. That was probably the hardest period of that uh, portion of my career, when I was really dealing every day with child abuse and neglect cases. So it was hard. It was hard. But, to me, I always respected the clients. A lot of people, including some of the jurists, were very prejudiced towards them, their challenges, the color of their skin. And I always, even as a prosecutor, I saw my role as to try to enhance people's ability to be the best parent they could.
Wow.
So I think that perspective helped me in every aspect of my career. Everybody has their own story, their own journey. You learn from it, and you give people the ability to have self-esteem. And frankly, your journey matters to you. It doesn't matter what other people think. And I think people feel comfortable with me because I don't judge them. And it's
No.
always been, I don't know if it's a natural, comes naturally to me, but I enjoy meeting people, learning about them. And I think clients, especially when I'm a neutral as a mediator, they're not ashamed. People have made different choices in their lives, and we only can think about going forward and not regret what you've done in the past. It's not really that important to me.
Wow. There is, I am, impressed is not the word. I am, this is just astounding, the way you're describing it, because, and I know about those circumstances. I, you know, shared with you when I first came to this country, there was a period of homelessness, um, and so been through quite a bit. So I can only imagine, and I had been around some of that, to sort of have like this clean lens through which you would approach these cases, through which you would cases people. You were willing to be, you were helpful, to help them find a resolution, and left a judgment at the door, ego, despite, your own personal challenges, makes you an incredible professional. This is not just a lip service. This is a strength, because that is hard. That is truly hard, because we have a tendency as human beings to see the world and others through our own tainted lens, so to speak. Um,
So,
what
right.
what are some things that you would say do trigger you? And not necessarily about clients, it could be just about people in general. When do you find yourself sort of noticing, oof, okay, this does trigger me? Sort of almost like a
Well,
pet peeve.
uh, when I was doing a lot of litigation in the matrimonial space, there have been occasions where there have been attorneys who have let their own struggles, many of them who have been divorced before, they bring that into the negotiations with the particular case. So it doesn't really become about what the client's interests and needs are. It's about the attorney's mission to win at all costs. And that really puts not only their own client, but the whole process in jeopardy because the attorney can't be objective. That is a very big peeve of mine. And I could pick it up in a second. I'll say to myself, oh, they've been through a bad divorce.
Yep.
And they just come in and it's just so hard to communicate with them.
Yeah.
They just come in like a bulldog,
Yeah.
and it doesn't serve anybody. And I've been in front of enough judges to know that that does not help your advocacy. The judges just tune out. They have tremendous caseloads. They want an attorney that's going to be focused on getting this job done. That is a big peeve of mine, for sure.
Hmm. I know what you mean. It's taking it personally. Yes.
Yeah,
That's that's a
absolutely.
that's a dangerous thing. Or trying to find a vindication or even a fairness, which is so deeply subjective. And then these cases then linger and linger. So yeah, that is that could be triggering. What,
I,
how do you
I was just going to say that, attorneys are supposed to be good communicators, and many of them are not. And I don't know if it's a generational thing, but when I'm trying to resolve a case, I like to get on the phone with somebody
mm,
to connect, understand what the underlying issues are.
yeah,
Where there are some attorneys, they just want to communicate through email or text, and you never even have a conversation with them. So it's not a surprise that there are difficulties in resolving the case when you just can't pick up the phone. Uh, so I guess that's another pet peeve. So if you're going to work with me, expect a phone call. That's my message.
there you go. Loud and clear. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it's like I think it's a current generation thing too. It's like yeah, let's just shoot off a text and not deal with sort of any emotional piece. Now, I am guilty of one thing though. I sometimes think, but that's more, among family and friends, certainly not in a professional setting. Um, I would say if there's something that I want to bring up and maybe has a level of difficulty, let's put some of it in the text to help them organize their thoughts and their
Okay.
feelings around it, and then let's have a discussion. And I have found that to be effective sometimes because they do not get caught off guard. Not in a professional setting. It's more in a with kids or family. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, when I'm mediating with clients, I often recommend, we don't advise, we recommend that they have weekly meetings if they're going to be co-parents. Um, Sunday at 7, that's a popular time. But prior to the conversation, we talk about emailing one another with an agenda or thoughts about what they may want to speak about. So that when they have the phone call or the Zoom call, they're prepared. They don't feel ambushed. They can process what the other parent is thinking. And it's so much more productive and respectful. So I think, yes, technology, email, that can enhance communication. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like face to face. And that's even true when it comes to networking. We just saw each other recently and
Yeah,
up in Boston at the State Bar. And it's just the face to face just makes people feel more comfortable and builds more understanding and trust and respect for the people that you'll be working with. And I think even though people maybe needed a break during COVID, matrimonial attorneys, family law professionals, we have a pretty intense schedule. So it was nice to have the break, but in terms of continuity, there's nothing like face to face.
I agree. There's a certain element of just energy, body language, and it's nice to start reconnecting after sort of having been disconnected. And I think it's so important for the younger generation. Some of them, they don't even know how to communicate without triggering themselves into sort of into anxiety. Just the mere thought of I have to actually face you. So it's I think I agree that is very, very important. How do you what brings you sense of calm, outside, obviously, when you step outside of work, whatever you define as work? What helps you reset?
Well, I start every morning by doing a wordle. Uh, and I really wanted to meditate, and I just couldn't focus. So Wordle gives me the opportunity not to think about work or family matters. And it's just the challenge of figuring out the puzzle. So that's one piece of it. I'm pretty good at it. But the other piece is I have two very close friends that I went to college with. And once I complete the Wordle, I send them an email and I share my success. I wish everybody a good morning and a good day. And it helps me get anchored, as you know, for the many challenges we're going to have based on the types of cases. So Wordle sounds so simple, but I look forward to doing it every day and it keeps me balanced. And then the other, I try to figure it into my schedule at least 3, 4 days a week. And then, of course, on the weekends, I really enjoy exercising. It's an opportunity to not think about what's going on. I'm able to manage uh, any challenges. I just feel refreshed after exercising, and I like to change it up. I have my Peloton in my apartment, so I may be doing a spinning class, a strength class, Pilates. So easy to change it up. And because there's so many options, uh, exercise is definitely the key, always been.
The movement, yes, just moving the energy through your body. That's great, and I'm thinking as you mentioned the Wordle, um, it keeps you in a moment, uh, and sort of being you really are practicing mindfulness, and I think that is so beautiful because, I was just talking to my husband about if we're focusing on what was last week or a few days ago or what will be, next week, we're missing the moment that's now. And so little things like that, we have a 2-year-old puppy, and sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm going, "What is he thinking?" And then I'm going, "Wait a minute, he's not thinking, he's just being." And that's the beauty of it, just being in a moment.
Yeah. And there's also, and I'm all about gratitude. And I'm very lucky that I can get up every day, and that's how I start my day. Not everybody has the ability to do that. And in fact, the one time that I guessed Wordle on my first try was my recent birthday. So I thought, I'm going to have a good year. So
Wow.
that was a good luck premonition, I suppose. I don't remember the word. Yes,
You don't remember the word.
I remember the word.
That's
I should have
that's so
printed.
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. What, are you do you enjoy watching movies or any shows?
Yes, I have to admit, I am a Sex and the City fan. I still watch that show, and I love the reboot. Uh, I love the reboot because it shows women in their 50s can still be vital, beautiful, have something to say, and life doesn't stand still. It is constantly changing if you allow it to. You have the faith that life can be as wonderful as you make it, and there are going to be challenges. So I think it's very emblematic of the journey of women that I know in New York City, professional women, women who have raised families. So that's my show. That's my show. So if you're listening, Sarah Jessica Parker, I'd be happy to meet you.
We'll make it
uh,
happen.
okay, that's good. Well, that's my
No, that is
favorite show right now.
is
Has
it
always
really?
been. Yeah, I really like the new show, The Bear. I don't know if you've seen that. It's about
No, not yet,
this.
not yet.
It's based in Chicago, and it's about a a young man who takes over his family's uh, sandwich shop, but has a different vision for the restaurant and his life, and he basically uh, opens up a Michelin star restaurant, and it's about his journey and all of the employees in the restaurant. And it's just the interaction of the actors. I just, you're just rooting for them because they're
Hmm.
working so hard and it's a very authentic show. So if there's a new show that you want to sort of try out, I'd say I think you would not be disappointed by watching The Bear.
Thank you for the recommendation. We're always
Right.
looking for one. I think we're watching The Suits for like the third or fourth time. I mean, not actively, that's sort of a filler. Yellowstone, that's not on yet. And then we started watching, I think Presume Innocent? Presumed Innocence. That was
Yeah,
the
I
Harrison Ford's remake.
yes, I heard. I honestly, I try not to watch legal shows.
I don't blame you.
I mean, once in a while I do, of course, but if I can avoid it, and I will even admit I love watching the Kardashians. And
Yeah,
people always make fun of that family, but they're the supreme business people,
they
and they
are.
love what they do. So
Yes.
what's wrong with that?
No.
You know?
It's funny. I think it has evolved, and I think the viewer who's binge watching these shows has also evolved because it used to be, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're actually watching it," to, well, I know high caliber professionals who are binge watching, the housewives, and now the Kardashians, they're quite enterprising. You're absolutely right. They know how to build a demand, and they figured it out, and I agree with you. Um, and I think it's
And
more
they
about the person who's like almost ashamed to admit that they're watching something like that as if that was a bad reflection on them. So I laugh. Yeah, I admit I get into it. Absolutely.
their values, uh, they're all about family. So who doesn't agree with that?
Right.
I just hope that all of the daughters have good prenups because they seem to be married a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you sure hope so. Yeah,
So
that's
as a
that.
matrimonial attorney, I am always curious to see, how they manage all of that. But they seem to resolve their cases out of court. So they have a good team.
They
So they
do.
have people like me and you advising them so they don't have to spend their lives in court in the public eye, which I'm sure
Yeah.
they would not want to have to share their personal business with the public.
Good point. No, that is a good point. What advice would you give to incoming attorneys?
Uh, the advice I would give is to connect with more seasoned professionals. Uh, don't be shy and ask to be mentored. And I would say, as a younger person, I should have done that more. But ask to be mentored. Don't be afraid to explore different aspects of the law. And for many years, I always had interns from Brooklyn Law School. That's where
Mm,
I went to school. And I saw them developing into attorneys that I would want to practice with. They were curious, they were interested in learning, they weren't afraid to ask the hard questions. They weren't afraid to express they were having challenges professionally and personally. So I've stayed in touch with many of my former interns, and I've seen them grown into uh, attorneys that I would have no qualms about referring others to. So it's all staying connected. And in New York City, where I'm speaking from, uh, the family law matrimonial community is actually pretty small,
mm,
and we all are committed to the best professional advice we can offer our clients. And I think uh, sharing those skills and tools with the young people is how we're going to keep the reputation of our community in place.
Right. It is like it's a small family, so to speak. It really is. And it's really truly wonderful. I have now interviewed, dozens of legal professionals, and they offer to mentor, and I think collectively agree that is really important, is to continue to ask those questions and showing up um admitting when you do not know, and being vulnerable, asking for help. um I think that's a key, because it can be intimidating, and especially if you have sort of been stuck in a virtual world. Very important to show up. um well, this has been very enlightening. um would you like to leave us with any parting thoughts?
Yes, I would. I'm going to be launching a new service in the fall. I'm being trained as what's called the parent coordinator. We call them PCs in New York City. So these are professionals that work with high conflict families in family and divorce custody cases. We're often appointed by the court, and we offer recommendations or sometimes even make parenting decisions if the court makes a order allowing us to do so. And it's just part of what I offer families. When people come to me, they don't know what they don't know. So, and I give the families the ability to use the value of self determination. But unfortunately, there are some high conflict families that can't take advantage of mediation or collaborative divorce, where I spend a lot of my time. And they really need somebody who's represented children, represented adults in high conflict cases,
Hmm.
knows the tools of mediation. So I feel like this is sort of a full circle for me. Many people for years asked me if I did parent coordination. I said no. But I feel like now I'm ready to focus on that. My kids are all grown up and I have the time to offer that service to the client. So I'm looking forward to sharing that now with the matrimonial and the family law community, and I hope they'll consider me as a possible PC for their cases.
Oh, I'm sure they will, with your experience and your passion. I think it's a natural fit for you. Well, congratulations to this new endeavor. I know that that is a passion of yours. I know you will be a terrific resource. And thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us here today.
Thank you, Denise. I was looking forward to this for a while, and it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to working with you in the near future.
And to our viewers and listeners, to find out more about Helene Bernstein and how to get a hold of her, check out her bio link below. And of course, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.